Hey YouTube, my pal Scott gave me a boot full of guitar leads and stuff all broken from a studio, and it included quite a few Marshall foot switches. So I was going to fix them and set them on. Marshall, 2-channel Marshall foot switches got to be worth something, and it's just a case for replacing the switch or the cable because that's probably what's broken in them. But this one I thought I'll try and make something a little bit more exciting. So this is a Veritone basically. As you can see, you've got a 4-position rotary here, which chooses which cap it is you've got on it. The cap's the wee green thing on this particular tone pot you'll see inside your guitar. I think they're the value of them is normally 0.47 nanofarads, ultra, pico, whatever it is. 0.47 I think is the value that you normally get in a guitar or a bass. So in this one I've put in a 0.2, a 0.1, a 0.02 and a 0.01. They're kind of close. I looked up what was actually in a Gibson Veritone, and they're sort of in the same kind of range. This is I've got an old oscilloscope that I bought in the bars for years ago. I gave it to my wee brother as a film prop. He used to make films, or he still makes films. Didn't work, but it was all valves and all stuff inside it. So basically, I took the inside out, and I've just been using it for taking interesting looking bits out of it. So this one I managed to find, caps that actually said on them. I mean, these are big things from the 50s. Caps just wired in as a Veritone. Apart from on a Veritone normally it's like set, so you just turn it on and it's on full whack. This one has a tone control on it, so it's kind of just like what the tone control that's in your guitar, as in it goes the wrong way. I don't know whether that's a better way of doing it, as in if you've got it up full, like the same as the tone control in your guitar, the tone control's not doing anything, and it's when you turn it down that it starts pulling it in. So that's what it does with these, but instead of having your 0.47 or your 0.047, you've got these other values, which is interesting. Also, on a switch, got a true bypass on it, and a 250k pot and a 500k pot, which puts a resistor in with the pot to make it simulate a 500k. A lot of people, I can do a switch that makes it into a 1 meg as well, because I mean these things it does make a difference. Whether it's better or not is the sort of thing that what you want to do is you want to build a wee box that's got a switch on it that chooses between the two, so you can decide which one's better. Also, the thing I was thinking as well, the only rotary switch I had just now was a four-way one, so I've got 4 values in this one. But what I'm thinking of doing is making a more advanced model. I've actually ordered some 6-position switches, so a similar sort of values are on there. But what I was thinking of having one of the terminals as like a wee Scotch block, so you can stick in your own capacitor, and just with a screwdriver stick it on, and that means you could test different capacitors to see which one's best in whatever guitar it is you're using. That's what I was thinking about this as well with a Veritone. I do have a guitar with a Veritone. It's a BC Rich Wave, and it's like it's basically this. It's an Artec sort of circuit boardy type thing. It's not quite as brutal and analogy as this is, but so I figured that this, instead of buying a Veritone, especially see a Veritone as well, quite often you see them in E335s, and it's an absolute pig to get into them because everyone has to go in, it doesn't have a hatch on the back, so it's a nightmare to put it in. So to install a Veritone, regardless how much it costs for the actual Veritone unit, to install it's going to be really expensive because it's so fidgety. Whereas this, you can just, it's got like an in and an out, it doesn't matter which way around you go, and you can just try the Veritone on every guitar you've got. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 335 that you just stuck it in. And you can just use it as a pedal. Well, I was thinking of doing a version, I could put a switch in it to turn it on and off, so you could have it like as a pedal. I'm not really using it as a pedal, I'm just kind of using it more as a sort of a research tool, or if you're recording like on your computer or something like that, having this would just give you different filters. Quite interesting. So I'm interested to see what end up, but I'm going to paint it buckfast and it'll be a bucky pedal, obviously. I'll probably make a couple of them just into relatively simple, I've got some single button foot switches and some double ones, so maybe I'll make one that's just like a dual switch, which would run into like something like Maloney, turning the reverb and changing the channel, or maybe just a single foot switch one which would work in anything. And the fact that it's got a bucket label on it is going to make it a bit more interesting than just having a normal one. But I'm quite interested in what the Veritone thing does. If other people would find this kind of thing quite interesting, rather than if you're thinking, I don't know what kind of caps to try out in my you know, in my guitar, so you take the guitar to bits, you try swapping over, and then you sort of listen back to go, has it made a difference? Whereas this one you can literally just put in whatever you want and then just switch between them to see what the difference is and see which one you like best. Or use it as a sort of effects pedal type thing. It might be good for if you've got a guitar that's really odd sounding, you know, that's unbelievably trebly or something. This might be exactly what you need to make it sound like a normal guitar. I'll plug it in and mess about with it a wee bit, but it's not really any sort of demo for it. So basically all I've got is a tone control, which when you've got it fully that way, it's full tone. You get 4 different variances and the 2 different caps and off in the middle. So I'll plug it in and make some noise with it and just see what it does. And, well, I kind of know what it does, but I'll show you what it does. I'm using this guitar here, which is, I absolutely love this guitar. I've been using it. I used this in the studio last week with Cranking House, and it's brilliant. These are not expensive, and it's fantastic. It's just on a practical level, it's so light and easy to play. Maybe not so much on a practical level. It's not super easy to change between the pickup sounds. You know, you haven't used a rotary switch to switch which pickup you're on. So I go into the bridge one because it's the brightest. So brightest one in single coil mode, which these don't normally have. I had to put the single coil mode in. So quite bright. I'll put the tone control up to full. Put it to 250k pot. So this is it. This is the sound without that pedal on. And this is it with the 0.2, the first option. You can turn that, you can adjust that. We just turn the pot up and down. You can fade it in. Right, so that's it back up to full. Try 0.1. Then obviously all of these have, you can just turn them, you do have a control of how much of it you want in there. Back up to full. Then 0.2. I was really liking the 0.2, the 0.02 and the 0.01 things on this. Pretty subtle, so that's it off. Oh, it's not really that subtle, is it? Turn it down a wee bit. It kind of messes about with whatever frequency that is, which I find a very useful one if you're playing with this particular guitar. As opposed to off. It really kills that. Yep, so put it back up to full, and I'll go to 0.01. Turn it right down a little bit. I put 500k switch. It does make a bit of a difference. It's hard to explain exactly what it is. It does also, you're listening to it on that mic coming through that amp, getting compressed on YouTube, listening to it. So actually having the pedal just going straight into the amp, you get a much better idea of what it does. And then that's it. That's it bypassed. Which is a nice sound anyway, but it just gives you that option. So that's kind of, you can see what it's doing. I'm not sure it's one of those things that I'll probably do once I've built a final version of it. Well, not really, the final version is not really going to be that different, I don't think. Apart from, I quite like the idea of having this extra, well, a 6-position switch to start with, rather than 4. I do have a 12-position one, but I think that's just too much for anyone's brain to handle. Too much for mine anyway. So keeping it relatively simple, I like. So I mean, I could make it so there's a switch that turns it on and off. So if you've like me and you've got like something like a guitar, well, I suppose that one, which doesn't have a tone control, or one of the ones I've got that's only got like, I've got a guitar that's only got one single coil pickup and no tone control. So having this on a pedal might be quite interesting. It's totally passive. It's basically exactly the same as what you would put in a guitar if you were putting a Veritone in. Also, I'm thinking I'm going to try an awful lot of crazy different versions of what capacitors to put in it, and I might be putting, what I could do is have like a wee mini switch on your guitar that just put one of these on. So it might be an interesting thing to do. Jaguars, Jazzmasters have a thing called a strangle switch, which is basically what that is. It's knocking a cap into the circuit. You just put it on a switch, so it would just be the same as having one of these on full bung. But then I could maybe make it run to the existing tone control or something like that. There's an awful lot of sort of variances that I might be able to do something with. Just the idea of using a cap, so it's all passive, it's dead simple. If it breaks, you just don't turn it on and it'll be fine, sort of thing. Not that I think it's going to break. Yeah, so interesting. This is the sort of thing that anyone would be interested in. Obviously, it will be painted up bucky colours or something like that. And I do like the idea of having a way of, these are sort of Veritone values, but I could easily put in all the sort of most common ones that you put in a Strat or a Les Paul. They always say, it's like, I don't know, 0.047 is the usual, the sort of average you put in, but some people put in 0.2s and all that. So I could have like the most common ones in this, and then you could try your guitar into it before you put a tone control in. You'll just have it with the volume up full and then plug it into this, and then you could decide which one was the best, so that when you fit it into your guitar, you choose a 0.2 instead of a 0.47 or whatever it is. Interesting. So possibly malkopedal's coming up. I'm not really going to claim any sort of design on it. I've not seen one before. I don't know if anyone makes a Veritone in a pedal type thing. It seems a very obvious thing to do, so I'd imagine lots of people do it. I don't know why nobody wants to buy one though, because you would think just the whole idea of putting, or is it just because people like the idea of having the Veritone on the top of your guitar, having a rotary switch? Maybe. Obviously I could put this into a guitar as well. There's nothing there that doesn't go in a guitar. Well, I suppose using these particular caps, my pal's got a pile of different value caps that aren't as big and chunky and silly as these. So I mean, obviously there's a size issue inside some guitars to put these big stupid capacitors at the size of your finger in it. Normally you can get away with wee tiny things that look like a wee bit of sweet corn, which does the same thing. Also, it's another thing as well. You see people talking about wax in oil caps and bumblebee. And I don't know how different any of these things are, because I mean, is a capacitor not a capacitor? So if it's a 0.1 capacitor, is that different? Whether it's made of, what do you say? Let's see, glass on it. A metal. So that's a metal mini cap. I don't know what that would mean, but so what's the difference between a capacitor that's like a metal mini cap, or one that looks like a piece of sweet corn, or the metal in film, or the bumblebee? Well, you could put one into one of these. In fact, I could make one that just had a Scotch block, like attached on the back of it or on the inside, where you could just stick in any, so it's dead easy to move capacitors about, without having to get the soldering iron out and all that stuff. Yeah, quite a lot of variances in what I'm going to make with these. I'll probably just build them one at a time and make them all different. You can collect them all, and being handmade, and well, this is made out of, you'll probably never find them oscilloscope parts, so this must be worth 300 quid or something like that, boutique. Proper boutique, hand wired, none of your crap. Rock on.